All right, here we are. This is the last of the intercepted signs, and then I'll move on to intercepted planets. So, intercepted Virgo and Pisces has kind of thrown me into a little bit of a I need to understand, like, why is astrology like this kind of dilemma, because it's so similar in some ways, or at least the descriptions in the books that I've read and in some other sources. It's so similar in some ways to the interception of Gemini and Sagittarius. And I was thinking about it, and the traditional rulers of both signs, or all four signs, are the same. We have Mercury opposite Jupiter as rulers for traditional rulers. And one of my authors on the subject actually considers Chiron to be the modern ruler of Virgo, which I find interesting. And I do like this idea, but I need to, I wouldn't say I have a conclusion on it yet. I need to consider it further. And well, that's a rabbit hole for another day. So in the meantime, both the yin and yang mutable signs are kind of about perception in a way, like perception and understanding. And in a way, it's like, it's so obvious. There's like so many differences between Gemini and Virgo, right? But they're both logic in a way, right? And then with Sagittarius and Pisces, they're both faith in a way. Like there's a spiritual focus for both of them. So it gets kind of like confusing, like confusing isn't the right word. I mean, there's such a difference between Sagittarius faith and Pisces faith in a way, but then in another way there's not. And then it's kind of the same with Gemini and Virgo. Like they're both analytical, right? So anyways, this is one of my interceptions. And it was my introduction to this author, actually. Somebody sent me the chapter on this particular interception, and it resonated so strongly with me. And I was just using Campanus and standardized time at the time, so it was my only interception in that chart. And I had to order the books. And she also sent me Mercury as well because I was interested. And then I had to order both books, and I've been doing a lot of work with them ever since. So let's take a look at it. Like, what is this interception all about? So the normal, I'm like getting into my like more intuitive side as I'm recording this, and kind of flowing with that. All right, so this is largely about the unseen world, the unreal versus the real. And that includes like dreams, fantasies, other like non-physical realms or worlds or dimensions. The unconscious, the oneness with the universe. And then on the other side, we've got like, you know, the practical day-to-day stuff, you know, chop wood, carry water. So it's like taking care of your health, doing practical things that need to be done, being organized in the physical world, you know, like decluttering and doing things to take care of other people, service to others. And this is, to me, a very interesting axis because I'm so sensitive. I have Mercury in Pisces, and you wouldn't think I'd be as sensitive as I am, but I am. And what Virgo does for Pisces is brings in discernment. So Pisces is sentimental, Pisces is sensitive, Pisces just absorbs like a sponge energies of and feelings of other people and the environment and the collective and just everything, really. It's a very sensitive sign. And in Virgo, kind of takes care of Pisces in a way by protecting it, by being like, no, we do not need to keep this item just because it was a gift from this person. Like, you know, if I don't like it, I'm not keeping it. And keeping things organized and keeping things, you know, just running smoothly. The thing that Pisces brings to Virgo is a little bit of faith. Like Virgo, without that, would just work until the end of time and never take a rest because there's always more to be done. There's always more to be done. And at a certain point, Pisces says, you know what? We need to just have faith that it's going to be okay. Like we can't do everything. We have to just step back and radical acceptance is a Pisces thing, and surrender, spiritual surrender or other surrender is kind of a Pisces thing. And you know, just releasing things, letting go. So, you know, Virgo would, you know, there'd be no end to Virgo's work if Pisces, you know, didn't say it's going to be okay. We can just let this situation be what it is and it'll sort itself out. Or it's not my responsibility, you know, we have to leave this one to the universe. So in a way, it's very like serenity prayer. The serenity prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. But when this is intercepted, the two are totally disconnected. There's a split, right? You're not supposed to do, you know, according to your environment, not supposed to do Pisces things where you would usually do Pisces things, and you're not supposed to do Virgo things where you would usually do Virgo things. Yee. So kind of don't get the wisdom to see which is which. You're kind of pushed into doing one thing, the acceptance, sometimes, and doing the work to change things sometimes, and you don't, or not even to change things, but work, just you know, put forth effort and do what you need to do or think you need to do, without any hope of change, or without without choice, really, at that point. So how it usually works then is on the Virgo side of it, we develop our self-expression and confidence and ability to have fun and be recognized and appreciated in Leo. And then we, or you could say the fifth house, because this is also going to impact houses, like what I was saying in the other videos. So this is going to have an impact on the 6th and 12th house. So then usually they're in Virgo, then it's like, okay, well, I got to be self-centered and, have fun. And now it's time for me to give back to other people a little bit, time for me to be responsible a little bit, time to, perfect things, get them right, make them more workable. And then from there, we're in a position, now that we've done that work, we're in the position to enter a partnership, because that, being willing to work on things and to put forth that effort, and be healthy, puts us in a position to, whoa, my color is like getting like red and green and weird. Puts us in a position to be in a partnership, right? Because we can do that work and do things for other people. Then on the other side of it, Aquarius wants to change the world, right? It wants to revolutionize, make it better, change the system. And then at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, I did what I can do. Now it's time to just make peace that it is the way it is and let go and just, let things sort themselves out. Trust that the universe has this and I don't need to keep messing with it anymore. And then you let go. And Aquarius is very individualistic, and Pisces is all about oneness and, being the universe, and how everyone and everything is the universe. There's this knowledge in higher expression Pisces that the fabric of reality is love, that everything is made up of this spiritual, divine, unconditional love. And just saying, all right, it's all part of the oneness. So I can just have peace with that. And then Aries comes in with this rebirth energy and wants to get a fresh start, like there's this spark of life, and a new cycle starts. So, you release it in Pisces, and then a new cycle starts in Aries, or the first house. So how does this look when these signs are intercepted? So when Leo then switches to Pisces instead of switching to Virgo, where usually we develop our sense of confidence and having fun, then it switches to Pisces, which instead of being discerning is surrendered, helpless, resigned, maybe. Remember, this is the lower expression rather than the higher expression, because there's a split. And we're having this programming imposed on us from outside, this unhealthy programming. So with this split, there's the romance of the fifth house and of Leo leads to kind of this surrender where there should be the discernment of Virgo, and kind of just acceptance and submissiveness, and we're expected to respond to authority figures this way too, to spiritual leaders. So then Libra in the 7th house, you know, this is where we form partnership and marriage, where we do like proper give and take in relationships and have a sense of fairness and equanimity. And without Virgo there to be discerning and to do the work and to, you know, be kind of fussy. Virgo's kind of fussy. Without that, we go right from the romance to the marriage, just accepting that thing, just accepting the way things are. So there can be some unhealthy relationships formed, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And also this kind of overly giving or overly meek approach to the give and take of relationships, because Libra is supposed to be fair and balanced, and without the discernment of Virgo to set that up, you know, instead Pisces just accepts whatever it is. It's easy to be taken advantage of. And then on the other side of it, Aquarius turns to Virgo when it should be turning to Pisces. So there's all this idealism in Aquarius in the 11th house, and when it's time to just set that aside and have peace that things are the way they are, and that's fine, that's okay, you know, that's good. They're not good, but you know, it just is. It just is. Where there should be an ability to do that, to release, instead Virgo wants to work harder at it and sacrifice for these ideals, and to, you know, keep doing for others, instead of having faith in their divinity and ability to lead themselves. And then Aries doesn't really get a fresh start because there's no release in Pisces. So it's hard to break free of the past truly, and to start new cycles and new endeavors in life that are truly free from the influence of painful experiences and programming in the past. Because Virgo is not really about letting go. Like, you know, Virgo will let go of like clothes that you no longer wear, like, you know, physical things, but not so much with like emotional things, or like analyzing situations, or that sort of thing. Perfectionism. So then that Aries force, instead of being applied to getting a fresh start, now instead it's being applied to this continuation of of Aquarius ideals and idealisms and belief systems, and continuing to push for those, and work for those through Virgo. So that's one way that split can happen. I guess I'm going to pull up my notes now, because I actually did a lot of notes on this particular chapter. So one of the things that came up repeatedly, and from my experience, is, you know, how it is with this interception, is that a lot of times there's some pretty intense, I'm going to call it spiritual abuse, in the person's childhood, where they were taught that they need to believe something, but it's not even taught as a belief, it's taught as fact. Like, this is just the way it is. This is just reality. And that they need to not ask questions and just go along with that. And perception is a really big thing with this interception. And a lot of times people with this interception can see things that most of the people in their environment, or maybe anybody in their environment, like nobody could see it except them. So it was deemed like unreal, or it was demonized. And spiritual mastery is not for the ordinary person. Like, we have to just blindly follow what spiritual leaders have to say, because we are not that. We are not spiritual masters and can never be. You're either born one or you're not. Like Jesus, for example, born a spiritual master. And, us lowly humans that are, walking earth today are not. Or like in some religious traditions, there's like the Pope, or, different people that teach us what we should believe, and we're not to question it, just blindly follow it. And no amount of spiritual practice or work or focus could ever allow us to become spiritual masters ourselves. We just need to shut up and do as we're told, essentially. And there's an absence of logic or connection to the real world in the beliefs, whatever they are. There's also a lot of like self-sacrifice in the themes, and somebody has this interception in that person's beliefs that they were taught as a child. A lot of themes of like helplessness and self-sacrifice, and there's a really big focus on using guilt and fear to get people to behave a certain way and believe certain things. So, so that's kind of the main gist of it. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my notes now. I almost kind of just want to do a screen share of this. Maybe I will just do that. Oh no, it's freezing. Too many tabs open, maybe. Waiting for it to do the thing. Maybe I should have paused. Okay, so okay, it looks like it's trying to do the thing. All right, cool. All right. Okay, except for now, it's not there. I should have like restarted my browser or something, maybe. Here we go. All right, so I'm actually going to hey, look at that. Oh my God. Except for, no, that didn't work. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Okay, trying this now. All right, so the basic divide here is, or what this interception is basically about, is consciousness versus unconsciousness. there's a very, 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 very strong push to remain unconscious for people with this interception. And it's their area of mastery to have a really high level of consciousness. So when we talk about consciousness, we're talking about like what Jung talked about when he said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So it has a lot to do with the reasons we do the things we do, the reasons things are the way they are, the true causes of why the physical world is the way it is, and just being aware of stuff, basically, both inside and outside of us. So this is somebody who naturally has a very high degree of consciousness, but their childhood really tried very, very hard to keep them as unconscious as possible and just follow the programming. So there's a big focus in this axis about the energetic world's relationship with the physical world. So the physical world is essentially like a shadow of the energetic world. And a lot of times, people don't see this, obviously. They see the physical world as this concrete thing that is not very malleable. And if you are going to try to change something, you have to do it through physical means, when that's not really the case. So this is an interception that is acutely aware of this on a certain level, but that gets like they're required to forget that. And this is also a very energy sensitive interception as part of that. Like you can't be a master of like the connection between the energetic world and the physical world without very strong energy sensitivity. So basically, when it comes to like ways in which people with this interception try to adapt, try to like survive in life because of the demands of their early environment, their perception gets goofy because they see too much and they can't see too much. They're not allowed. So they have to numb it or make it not work somehow. So, and also Pisces can be very into escapism, and this is the lower expression, you could say, or like a less evolved expression of Pisces. So sometimes escapism, it becomes a big theme before this interception is opened. So between the need to see less and the desire for escapism, which are kind of the same thing in this case a lot of times, people can develop dyslexia, ADHD, alcoholism, workaholism. There can be a focus on spiritual bypassing, like if every time you're upset you go into transcendental meditation, that's spiritual bypassing. Or like the toxic positivity thing could potentially fall into this category too, like only good vibes kind of a mentality. And Reverend Alice Miller talked in her book about how sometimes one side of the brain is much more active than the other, or how she said people could like develop like blindness in one eye or be cross-eyed, or like have loss of sensation in part of the body, like somehow there's like some manifestation of less sensory processing or like unusual sensory processing happened. And I already mentioned Chiron is the ruler of Virgo, according to him, according to her. That was an interesting little switch that just happened there. Anyways, faith versus common sense. Spiritual abuse, extremely common with this interception, strict religious upbringing where you're not allowed to question, blind faith is required. An example might be not using modern medicine to treat a condition because it shows a lack of faith in God's healing. So this isn't something that I saw in any of my sources, but I think it really fits with this particular, really fits with this particular interception, this idea that you see sometimes that, that, you know, you shouldn't use medicine to treat something because if God gave you that condition, then he can heal it. And if he doesn't, then you need that trial for some reason, like it's a test of your faith, or it's to bring you closer to God, or it, you know, keeps you humble, or just so much ridiculousness, or it's a punishment. And this is a perversion of this axis of the use of faith, and a split from the Virgo side of it. So the split between when to surrender and have faith versus when to work to change things. Difficulties knowing when to stop helping others. Expectation that there's a class that is allowed spirituality, but commoners must follow the rules of religion or the government or science. Control through guilt and fear. Relationships where one person works and the other is an alcoholic, addict, or has mental health issues. Exploration of spirituality and one's own unconsciousness, one's own unconscious are forbidden. The split means that full self-realization comes at the cost of our functionality and health. At least that's what we're taught. And that in our early environment, even like early adulthood, that can really seem to be the case. Sometimes I still have difficulty balancing this particular area, like, you know, faith versus functionality, like focus on energy stuff and spirituality versus like keeping it grounded and, you know, staying present with the physical world as it is right now and what I can do to make it better and more comfortable. So in our early environment, dreams and imagination may have been seen as harmful or useless. Spiritual mastery, and the same with like fantasy, like another like Pisces 12th house thing is fiction, and you know, just enjoying imagined worlds, whether we're the one that imagined it or somebody else did. Spirituality is severely ungrounded if it exists at all. Following intuition is seen as highly irrational. Following dreams or inspiration is a path to destruction. Beliefs were treated as absolute facts. So like they weren't presented as this is what we believe. They were presented as this is how it is. Like it's obvious this is how it is. In relationships, there's a choice between romance and passion or practicality and health. So it's and I've been here with this one, like, you know, if you've got great chemistry and you know, strong romantic feelings for somebody, that means it's not going to be a healthy relationship, and it's not going to work on a practical level. So you have to kind of decide which one you want. Do you want to have, a romantic marriage or a practical marriage? And really, the reality, of course, is that you can have both, but with this interception, that can be something that needs to be learned, or that doesn't, or you don't have an opportunity to experience that until you open the interception. There's a teaching that life is hard and painful and requires a lot of work and sacrifice for others. The Christian principles that are taught to a lot of people in the world, and other religions teach something similar, can kind of point to this. And I put sixth sense, but really, I mean, we've got like a somatic sense, and we've got proprioception. Like, we have more than the standard 5 senses. We have other senses too that are physical. So it's more like a 9th sense, or whatever, it doesn't matter. So extrasensory perception, I'm going to change it actually, extrasensory perception. But even that isn't really true, because coming from somebody who's very energy sensitive, what did I do here? Coming from somebody who's very energy sensitive, I would say that energy sensitivity is another sense, but regardless, whatever you want to call it, it's demonized, and there's like no possibility allowed that you're truly allowed to see and hear and sense things that other people can't. Like, if other people can't see it, it's not real. It's in your mind, or it's like demons messing with you, or some other thing like that. You must be crazy. There's a tendency to lose perceptual abilities to be allowed to live in the environment. So I talked about this earlier. I put insomnia here because Pisces and the 12th house are really strongly connected with sleep. And I actually experienced a great deal of insomnia throughout my life. And it definitely got better as I got older, though it still happens sometimes, like especially with full moons. And then with high histamine levels, that's a thing that comes with it, is insomnia. But in any case, insomnia is a thing that I could certainly see happening with this. And then if you don't sleep enough, it ruins your health. So it like messes you up on both sides of it. I'm just going to go ahead and take that out. There we go. Difficulty seeing cause and effect relationships, particularly who caused things to happen. So people with this interception take too much blame for other people's actions, or for situations being what they are, or not take enough credit where they should be taking credit for something. There's also stuff in this book about how discipline is like comes from one source but is administered by another, which, I mean, I don't know, maybe. So like the Bible told me that if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. So I don't want to spank you, but you disobeyed, so I have to. Yeah, I mean, it resonates with my own experience, but I don't know. Not as confident about that with this interception, but could be a thing. So then with this interception, there's also this really strong tendency to overanalyze some things while not analyzing other things enough, or maybe even at all. And this can be a really unpleasant experience, like being stuck on analyzing a certain thing and just not really putting thought into other things. hypochondria is another way that I could very, very, very much see this playing out. And I've had my own bouts with it. It's like, it's hard to find balance in an area where there's an interception. And there's this tendency to neglect health or be a hypochondriac or like, what's the word for it? I can't remember. It's almost like a type of OCD where somebody is like super, super, is the word fastidious? I kind of want to look it up. I'm going to look it up. Fastidious.
Here's the definition of fastidious: very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail.
Okay. Very fastidious about eating healthy food and living a healthy lifestyle, avoiding toxins and chemicals, and just really, really putting a lot of focus on healthy living, like too much, like working out to extremes, that sort of thing. Repeating the same actions and expecting different results because of being blinded to the true cause of actions and reactions and their outcomes. So there's this like, what is even happening feeling sometimes, and not understanding like how to actually like change your life for the better. Blaming the wrong person for things. So I've experienced a little bit of this myself recently. I have wondered quite a bit in the last several months if I was sick because I was stressed about my relationship, or if I was stressed and taking it out on my partner or boyfriend, whatever you want to call it, because I was sick and not feeling well. And I meditated on this and came to the conclusion, or I shouldn't say came to the conclusion, but had a revelation that the relationship was more helpful than anything, that it was supportive and nurturing and helped my stress levels and provided comfort during a difficult time of illness. Not the relationship was making me sick. So that is a thing that I wonder a lot. And I've done this in the past too, where I'm stressed out about money, for example, and then I take it out on my boyfriend at the time or husband at the time, whatever it happened to be, because like I'm stressed out and don't know why, and start like, saying, well, he's doing this or he's not doing this, and it has nothing to do with the actual issue. So that's something that I have personally done. And there can be conditioning to believe that there's a disconnection between solid reality and the invisible realm. Disconnection between memory and method. And these key terms, memory and method, came out of the book by Alice Miller. We must sort out what we perceive into categories based on whether we're allowed to consciously perceive and logically understand what we're perceiving. So a large portion of our energy goes into sorting what to acknowledge versus what to ignore. It can be very difficult to know what's real and who to trust. Opening this interception requires opening to the possibility that there's an invisible realm that corresponds with the physical world. Letting go of the rules and spiritual teachings of childhood is required for healing. Embracing mysticism. And people with this interception have an innate understanding or innate inner knowing that everything is one. Like it's all source in this kaleidoscopic dance of matter and energy through time. So it's all, everything that exists, it's all just source. The fabric of existence is love. And sometimes things are painful and sometimes they're pleasant, and there's a very wide range. And some people are more conscious of this divinity, of this oneness, than other people, and that can be a very painful thing as well. But nothing is inherently good or evil. It just is. And it's all a part of the same one thing. So you can't like separate a little section of it and be like, this is bad, because it's interconnected to everything else. Like, you can't call one thing bad without calling the whole thing bad. And these good and bad categories, right and wrong, good and bad, these are human creations based on self-preservation and social instincts mainly. So we call something wrong if it's harmful, if it causes pain, if it is bad for life, if we're taught that it's wrong. But there isn't truly, on a spiritual, existential level, such a thing as good or bad, or good or evil. And people with this interception have this inherent awareness of it, and are taught very, very strongly that that's not true, that there is definitely good and evil. So coming to this inner knowing that there really is no such thing, that it's all just one, and whatever it is, like, it's not good or bad, it just is. This is part of opening this interception. So for these people, the veil between worlds or dimensions or planes, or however you want to call it, is thin. Sometimes it seems like it doesn't even exist. So planeswalking, like astral projection, is a natural gift. Not seeing evil can leave them open to attack and exploitation, but they have a higher than average ability to survive it, as well as the suffering and trauma entailed in that. But they have to learn to trust their inner vision. So this part here really should be higher on the list, because we start talking about opening the interception here. So anyways, this is a quote directly from one of the books that I just love this quote so much. I felt so called out by it too when I read it. So she's talking about people with this interception. Most handle incredible amounts of trauma before they discover the difference between objective evil, which does not exist, and subjective evil, which is a product of consciousness dysfunction. Her book talks about how the belief in evil is what actually creates evil. So her perspective is that there are things that exist that we could call evil, but they're created by our belief in them, essentially. And that if we have a higher level of consciousness, then we don't see it anymore, and then it doesn't exist, kind of, in a way. So she says objective evil, which does not exist, and subjective evil, which is a product of consciousness dysfunction, or misusing our ability to physically create the world with our beliefs. In time, concentrated evil gets their attention. When it does, it meets its master. Although, of all the starseed, originally the least aware of evil, these are the most able to defend self and others against it. If needed, they can simply fade out the offending intelligence to a harmless level. bringing consciousness into an area where there's a lot of unconsciousness is essentially how this happens. And with a lot of compassion too. They become aware of invisible guardians and spirit guides and helpers. And I've had a whole lot of experience with this sort of thing myself. And I actually don't interact with them much anymore. I'm more like, I don't need guidance from an entity. I can just look to my soul. I can talk to the universe. I can talk to God, which is a story in itself, because I didn't actually believe that there was a difference between the universe and God until a recent trip that I took where I talked to both of them. But in any case, and part of me wants to just go ahead and explain that a little bit. It doesn't matter for this though. Okay, so the idea of seeing them as friends is something that resonates more with me where I'm at this point. And like, I had a nature spirit following me around a little bit kind of recently, and I asked him what he wanted, and he wanted me to come visit this certain like plot of land and bring light to the area because the land was sick. And only just very recently have I kind of gotten back sort of a little bit into employing, I guess you could say, these types of entities as helpers. But in any case, there's a far greater than average awareness of these types of things. I've also done a fair amount of like mediumship where I'm like helping earthbound spirits cross over. Like that's a thing that I have done a fair amount of. So I don't know, if anything, it feels like I help them more than they help me. But whatever, there's a awareness of an interaction with these types of entities with this interception, maybe a bit before the programming in childhood gets too strong, but much more so once the interception is opened, and not so much in between, because it's not allowed. It's not real, you know, it doesn't exist. The teachings of reality are seen as factual, like this is real, this is reality, rather than as being seen as beliefs or like, you know, mental models, my understanding of reality, the context that I use, the perceptual filter that I have, like that's not a thing. It's just like, this is what is. So anyways, they need to learn to trust and act on their faith in life, both the life within them and life itself. They don't experience guilt because they know there's no such thing as wrong. And that doesn't mean that they're sociopaths. Like, there's a sense of the flow of life and how to serve it. And there's just so much love and compassion with this interception. Like, it's a little hard to it's a little hard to explain it beyond what I already have. But walking through the world this way means having a healing influence on others, usually, not, going around like hurting people. I mean, sometimes we all hurt people, but sometimes it's just what needs to happen. And it doesn't come from a place of malice or anger or selfishness I want to take back that selfishness word because that's not relevant in this context. Sometimes things just need to happen the way they happen. And sometimes it's through me. And people are going to judge it how they judge it, and that's okay. It just is. So the place in the new level of consciousness that humanity is coming into, the job that people with this interception hold is that they hold the vision for the future of humanity and have an innate ability to mold physical reality through their vision, through their belief, through their perception. Perception changes reality. Quantum physics has told us that perception changes reality. And people with this interception know it on a level that is very innate. They know that obstacles are an illusion, even if they forget it sometimes. They have this inner knowing about that, because belief or perception creates physical reality. The physical world is a shadow of the energetic world. They perform magic through instinct because their nervous system is wired for it. They casually do things others think are impossible and call miracles. So they can lose their sense of wonder in a way. In a way, they live in their sense of wonder, but in a way, they forget that the types of things that they experience are not normal for most people. And, for them, I went for a walk and, met an earthbound spirit and talked to him for 2 minutes and he crossed over. That sort of thing is just whoa, a big deal to most people, but to them, it's just it's just whatever, it's just life. So they are miracle workers and healers, and they have very strong healing powers. They're very attractive to energy vampires and magicians because they wield a great deal of power, and it's neither good nor evil. So because they aren't judging, things as good or evil, they tend to attract people that will take advantage of that and want to wield their power for themselves or to their ends, or just feed on their energy. There's a lot of that, and people don't need to be bad people or narcissists or something like that in order to do this. These are just people with very attractive energy, and people just want to be around them, want to have their attention, want to hear what they think about things, want to be healed, So not everybody who attaches to them and becomes an energy vampire is necessarily malicious, or self-aware of what they're doing, but they, people just are drawn to them. And they're essentially channels of divine power. They empower others and have the capacity to act as guardian angels for others, according to Reverend Alice Miller. So when others are too involved in how they've been programmed, these people can bring a bit of consciousness into that programming and like know how to offer just enough of a paradigm shift to get people unstuck, to offer the level of healing that a person is ready for, and not have to necessarily make it like they don't have to like break everything wide open. Like just the littlest tweak at just the right place at just the right time is all it takes. And sometimes that can start a cascade of healing. But just a little bit of consciousness can make a really big difference if you know where and when and how to apply it. And people with this interception have a sense for that. And I would add that the most enlightened don't try to save others from themselves anymore. Don't try to save people from their lessons. So I'm at a point now where usually I don't even offer people my perspective unless they ask me for it, because I see each person as the best and only captain of his or her ship, and I don't know what's right for them any better than anybody else. The only one that knows what's right for that person is them. And if it feels right to them, or if for whatever reason they ask me for input, then if it feels right to me, I will offer it. But I'm like not on a mission to help people or save people. Like they're already perfect. I don't need to do that. And they'll get to where they need to go. If they want to involve me, then that's up to them. But it's not really my business. So I can imagine that this interception would very much be people who like feel compelled to help other people. Like that could be a thing with this interception. Yeah. So, all right, that is my class on Virgo and Pisces. Wow. All right, so thanks for watching.